2021 was the absolute worst year for gaming ever. If you're an absolute first-person shooter fan who doesn't even know the rules, chode cringy. Oh my, no, but seriously, guys, for actual master assassins like us, we can recognize that, sure, maybe 2021 wasn't the best year, but there were some pretty special games that were released this year, bro. But guys, before I get into the list, I want to go over some honorable mentions. Games that had something but fell short to make it onto the list. You know, first we have Deathloop, which had some interesting mechanics and was one of the better shooters this year. Metroid Dread, because it was very faithful to Metroid fans. Resident Evil Village had, you know, this one had possibly the best gameplay. And actually, yeah, it did have the best gameplay of the Resident Evil franchise. But the story was so bad. It was like one of the worst of all time in any media. Artful Escape had a really strong start, dude, with its super unique storytelling and atmosphere. It was really a breath of fresh air, but as soon as the writing started to drop in quality, you noticed how bad and repetitive the gameplay actually is, you know. This one was sad, you know. It is an experience, though, I will say that. And at last but not least, Death's Door, which was the good version of that overhyped freaking Fox Zelda demo that everybody cried about, you know. It Takes Two. Now, this game falls for the baby mistakes that most 3D platformers make. It does take some mechanics too far, and some of the puzzles can get really annoying. But what keeps you going is the fact that you haven't seen everything of this beautiful world yet. The art style and direction is so beautiful. And also, the most important part, the person that you play it with. The story is basic, but appreciate Hazelight Studios for putting out games focused on cooperative gameplay and experiences. The most infamous thing your game can be is an early access survival game. Dude, early access. Just filled with the most broken, garbage, unfinished experiences known to man. Building up one of the worst reputations I've ever seen. However, Valhiem, good. It feels like every time you go out to explore this game, you will find something new every time, you know. It is so adventurous and unique every time because none of the encounters are scripted, you know. The world is constructed at random, but it's not infinite. The premise of this game is awesome, dude. The atmosphere, the art style, the enemies, the seas. This game still has a lot to prove with it being in early access. But right now, Valhiem has been one of the best gaming experiences of 2021. Doom Eternal, one of the greatest shooters of all time, and this year, not one, but 2 expansions came out for this game, to the point where the game has doubled in content since release. Ancient Gods and Horde mode are just more of what you want, bro. Again, just like last year, the weak link for me is the story, alright? But you don't play it for the story, you play it for the game. I honestly don't even know, how to explain why this formula is so good. I would say my only gripe with the game is the missed opportunities to integrate PvE multiplayer. Please in. Nobody wants to play this garbage battle mode. Please! Halo Infinite. Now, holy crap, dude. I'm at the point where I fully processed my thoughts, and while I can't just let it out in this video, I'm going to try to summarize how I feel. The multiplayer of this game has some really bad accessibility in UI. The monetization and progression is an embarrassment. The player outlines are retarded. And for some reason, player collision is still off. Bro, what? The gameplay is one of the best ever, and the maps are good, but lack variety. The single player has the best gameplay in the series, and this alone makes the game worth playing. However, the linear level should not have been framed as, where it's like an open world. Seriously, why are there sniper jackals indoors, bro? There are also power seeds, which are retarded. Dude, I thought I told you not to put these in 343. The open world is awesome, but it is just one biome and is filled with recycled structures and recycled objectives. And the story is just, I'll talk about this later. I do think that it was the right step to take the Halo franchise in, though. And the story, dude, that's the story of this game, alright? 343 has a lot of work to do, and there is still a lot of potential here, right? It is still worth playing. The gameplay of both the multiplayer and single player is just that good, dude. And it's not complete garbage variety either, right? The gameplay, you know, it's like you get insanely into it because of how damn near perfect it is, right? The game is growing at a stable state. You know, I have no doubt that in time, this will be one of the greatest of all time, but not today, right? Next time, maybe. Nongunz is probably the most overlooked game this year, and that is partly because it isn't the most appealing to most people. A lot of people think this game takes strides backwards. You can't actually aim your gun, and that alone pushes a lot of people away, alright? However, this is what makes the game so interesting and challenging to me. You have to get creative with your movement and your abilities and learn how the enemies work. This game thrives in atmosphere and art style. Everything is so gothic and grim, and there's a lot of moments where you just have to take time to appreciate the designs of some of these guys. Also, the game only gives you one life, so every mistake is a punch in the gut. Easy. Look at these guys. Yep. Fuck my life. It will take time and a lot of practice to progress, but when you do, it is the most rewarding feeling in the world. You want to keep going to see what's next because it is so addicting on how it's structured. You want to see more and overcome the challenge. You know you can do it, but it is still whooping you, bro. And the most fricked up part is that the challenge is fair. Mario is the king of video game. I mean, Nintendo. Mario. Bowser's Fury is good. This is probably the most consistent Mario experience all the way throughout. You have some good mobility in controlling Mario, and this game goes back to having traditional Mario power-ups. The platforming is really good and creative. In contrast to It Takes Two, no mechanic is driven to the floor here. However, it is a really short game, and at times does not feel that fleshed out as an idea, you know? Like, the game is like a demo for something greater down the line, you know? But this game was probably the most consistent experience with the little to no downtime, and it's just continuous fun, you know? I think if Nintendo sticks to this formula with the next 3D Mario, we're in for a great game. Now, guys, let me just take a quick break here. Like, to say, these two next games, the top two, are the only games that are actually worthy of making my list. Alright, yes, I know. Look, I originally intended for only 8 out of 10s or higher, but obviously that didn't happen, alright? Pretty much every game that made it onto the list so far, I've had something negative to say, other than like Mario and Nongunz, which those I feel weren't big enough to be at 8 out of 10s. But yeah, an apology to my fans, you know, but look, man, these next two games are actually worthy of Game of the Year, and they're where it's at. Alright, let's go. Number 2, Psychonauts 2. Now, this is just an awesome game, dude. One of the best platformers ever. You have super detailed and visually mesmerizing levels. You have good characters with actual depth and personality. The story is very engaging and easy to follow. Seeing the Psychic 7 reconstruct themselves is just incredible. And it's honestly worth playing the game just to see Ford. Ford is a great character, right? One of my favorite character from this game. When you first meet him in this game, he's clearly lost and broken. And as you see him reconstruct himself, as you help him, you can really see his emotion throughout. I obviously can't talk about everything here, but a lot of these characters just have arcs that are just so engaging, dude. Psychonauts 2 is a great game and a great sequel to the first game. Just incredible, dude. Quality. Before Your Eyes is the most important game I have ever played in my life, and it's because it's barely a game. I played this when I was still in quarantine, early 2021, and subconsciously, I guess I was feeling lost, kind of just floating through life. And I'm not joking when I say that this has been the most impactful experience to the way I live my life now. And I know I hate when people say this, but I was left in tears when finishing this. Something that has never happened with any other game in my life. It was an indescribable wave of emotions and thoughts that you could really only experience if you were to do the same. I realized how many moments, people, places, and experiences that I had just missed when going by. Before Your Eyes showed me meaning in my life, and for years of me searching, I finally found acceptance because of this experience. This game is the most well-written and well-made story that I've ever seen in my life. It is something that I believe everybody should experience in their life. It might be a very different experience to you. The only general description I can use for this game is an experience so powerful that everybody will learn something from. What you learn depends on you. And what I learned was acceptance. So give this your time and smile when your parents take pictures. Let everybody know that you're happy, and don't let anybody wonder if you'll stay here.